Hello, everyone, and welcome into the latest edition of the Meeting on the Mound. I'm your host, Matt Kling. We are in the thick of postseason play. Baseball has reached its own Final Four, the League Championship Series round. On today's show, my co-hosts Alec, Henden, and Devin Madigan and I will talk about how the Yankees, Astros, Cubs, and Dodgers got to the LCS and who will make it to the World Series. So, guys, first of all, I'd like to introduce Devin. He kind of is the first baseman in this whole Meeting on the Mound. Before we know it, our producer, Ethan Kennedy, will play the role of manager and come out and yank me off the set here for talking too long. But we're in the playoffs, baby, and it's been really, really good. One takeaway I've had, games are so long. You guys agree?
Absolutely, yeah. I think, what was the 4 hours and 37 minutes last night in the last game of the NLDS? So that was, that's crazy long. But
at the same time, some of these games are long, but they're thrilling and fun.
Yeah.
Both the wild card games were games that I'll never forget. You went to the NL wild card game.
I was at the NL wild card game.
How was that as a spectator?
It was an unbelievable experience. It was great baseball. The Diamondbacks and Rockies both played well. They played 19 times in the regular season. The Diamondbacks took 11. They were able to outlast the Rockies in a slugfest. Most starting pitchers weren't sharp. It came down to clutch plays, and then Archie Bradley coming up to the plate and hitting that triple. No one saw that coming. And then going up and giving up 2 runs in the next inning for the Rockies to get the momentum back. But eventually they were able to hold him off. And then we all know what happened in LA this last weekend.
Yeah, he evened himself out with that. I actually went to Game 3 of the Division Series here in Phoenix. What I saw out of the Dodgers was pretty impressive pitching. And something that really the reason why they won that series against the Diamondbacks was they outpitched Arizona. You look at Yu Darvish could win 7 innings. They yanked him in the 6th because he hit a hitter in the face, it looked like. But then guys come in. Cingrani comes in, gets a double play. Morrow comes in, shuts him down. Kenta Maeda comes in the 8th inning. This guy's was paid to be a starter. Comes in the 8th inning, shuts him down, throws heat. Kenley Jansen works himself into a little bit of a tough situation in the 9th, gets out of it. Diamondbacks sweep the Dodgers. They have an impressive team of hitters. Cody Bellinger is back to being what we saw Cody Bellinger do in June and July. Austin Barnes might be their starting catcher going forward. Yes, Mike Grandal's okay. But Austin Barnes had a huge game. He hit a home run, former Sun Devil. A lot of fun there, the Dodgers. But their opponent, the Cubs, man, that was a fun series against the Nationals.
absolutely, yeah. I think that the way the Cubs played and the offense broke out, too, especially in the last game of the series, that shows how dangerous they can be, especially with the versatility that they have. When they have guys like Zobrist and Baez, they can move around. I think Zobrist started in 3 or 4 different positions throughout the course of the series. So the way that Joe Madden can manipulate his lineup to get guys in there that he wants makes him a dangerous team.
I mean, they're going forward for a reason, absolutely, Alec.
Yeah, the Cubs definitely played great. They showed why they're the defending World Series champs. And we think about all these years, the Cubs haven't been great, and they've 108 years. They've been to the NLCS the last 3 seasons. So this is a team that's figured it out, great starting pitching. And don't forget, this is Jake Arrieta's possibly last run with the Cubs. So they're definitely thinking another trip to the World Series. But they have a tough matchup. The Dodgers have been there on the doorstep for the last 5 seasons, winning the National League West, and I definitely think this is the team that can break through and finally get back to the World Series.
So let's talk about that League Championship Series matchup. The Cubs and the Dodgers, 2nd straight year with that matchup. The Dodgers have the home field edge this year because they won like 10 more games than the Cubs did. Dodgers had great regular season. Cubs had to come back, win that division. So Cubs will host games 3, 4, and 5. The Dodgers will host the first 2 games, last 2 games if necessary. We're going to see Clayton Kershaw, Rich Hill pitch, and all the others, Yu Darvish again. We didn't see Alex Wood pitch in the division series, and he had a phenomenal year for the Dodgers as well. Is this the year the Dodgers break open that door, or the Cubs repeat pennant winners?
Well, I think if the Dodgers are going to do it, I think this is the best team that they've had to do it with. They're deeper than they were. They're younger than they were before, which I know people value experience in the postseason, but I think having guys that are fresh and hungrier maybe will help them. And I think you mentioned it before when you were talking about their series against the Diamondbacks. They have their bullpens better. Last year, Dave Roberts didn't really have anyone to rely on to go from the starters to Kenley, and that's why in the divisional series last year you saw Clayton Kershaw come out to finish off against Nationals, and they don't have to do that this year because they have guys like Morrow, like Cingrani, and like Maeda coming out of the pen who's really dangerous. So I think this is their best shot to do it.
How about you?
I think an underrated part of the series is just how well rested the Dodgers are. They haven't played since Monday night, and the Cubs played a marathon game. And then I saw a recent article today that they had a horrible flight just getting to Los Angeles.
They had to go to Albuquerque, and originally they was delayed because of some family member had an issue.
Yeah, so definitely the Cubs. They don't know who they're going to start on Friday or Saturday, sorry, for the National League Division Series Game 1. And when the Dodgers have Clayton Kershaw, I definitely think the postseason issues have been figured out. He's the most dominant pitcher in baseball, and the Dodgers have a very good offense. Their home field advantage is electric, and I definitely think this series will be done, and I think it can be done in 5 games.
I'm going to disagree with you guys. I've been calling a Cubs-Astros World Series probably since the beginning of the season. I think the Cubs are going to win this series. I think it's going to take 7 games. I want to give them a new nickname. We hear the Cubbies, the Curse of Bartmans, all the nicknames from the past, throw them away. They're the Cardiac Cubbies. They came back from down 3-1 in a series last year in the World Series and came back and won. They had a 5-game fight against the Nationals. This will be a fight against the Dodgers, but I do see the Cubs winning. I think the Dodgers are going to proverbially run out of gas, something that we saw the Indians do. We'll get to the American League in a second, but I do believe the Cubs are going to win this series. It's going to be a 7-game series. And also, Alec, the Dodgers have great fans in LA. I think the Cubs fans have a little more electricity in their ballpark at Wrigley. But that's just my opinion. Let's move over to the American League and start with those division series. The quicker of the 2 division series was the Astros-Red Sox. And I want to talk specifically, not necessarily about the Astros at this moment, but I want to talk about the Red Sox. Mm-hmm. They've won the division 2 years in a row. They've won 1 playoff game the past 2 years. John Farrell was fired right after they lost. In fact, in that 4th game which they lost, he went out and got ejected for arguing balls and strikes on Dustin Pedroia at bat, which was kind of crazy to me that his last scene as the manager of the Red Sox was getting yanked out of the game by an umpire. Was this the right move or not?
To fire John Farrell?
Yeah.
Well, I think that the front office is the only ones that knows fully exactly like why they fired him, because generally speaking, if you take your team and win a division title 2 years in a row, your job's not on the line. So I don't know if it's a lack of confidence in his ability as a leader. You mentioned him getting ejected in the last game. It's kind of a crucial point. You'd like to have your manager there in the clubhouse making the calls. But he seems to be generally respected by the players. No one's really had a public tiff with John Farrell over his tenure at the Red Sox. So I don't know if it's the right move. I think it's going to depend on who they get to lead the team now.
How about you?
I like the move for the Red Sox personally. This was a weird team. This was the year of the home runs and the strikeouts, and the Red Sox were the complete opposite. They were last in the league in home runs and last in the league in strikeouts. So they were able to put the ball in play, but their ultimate undoing was, besides Chris Sale, who did struggle in the division series, they didn't have a starter who they could trust to go behind him. And I definitely think that the media and the Red Sox fans had enough of John Farrell. So I think the Dave Dombrowski and ownership made the right call, just getting a fresh face in. And we'll see what the changes are going forward in the 2018. Because this is still a good young team, but they see how the Yankees are having their success, and I don't think the Boston fans are looking forward to, if the Yankees reach the World Series, another era where the Red Sox are being dominated by the New York team.
If Al Davis was still around and he was owning this team, of course, the just win baby mantra would be around. And that's what I think it came down to. Yes, he won the World Series in 2013 under extreme circumstances. He was the 3rd manager in 3 years for that team, going through Terry Francona and Bobby Valentine. The city had the Boston Marathon bombing that year. You know, David Ortiz comes out in their first home game, says, "This is our bleeping city." Like, it was insane that they won. I mean, this year there was no Big Papi. He retired. He's on Fox now, talking baseball with A-Rod and Frank Thomas. David Price, I think, was the positive of that team, because he turned around, started the year injured, had a spat with Dennis Eckersley on Nesson, and now comes out of the bullpen. Did a pretty decent job in the game that they won in the division series, but still, they got to win the playoffs. 1 win 2 years is unacceptable. Not hitting home runs is unacceptable. Not having another reliable starter besides Sale is unacceptable. But I will tell you this, Craig Kimbrell is still one of the best closers in the game. But let's circle the wagons, talk about the other team that lost, the Indians. Up 2-0 in the series against the Yankees. They drop it in 5 games. They lose that crucial 5th game at home. What happened to that Indians team?
That's a good question. I think they're still looking for the answers, too, because that's 2 years in a row they had a 2-game lead in the series and got eliminated. I mean, if you want to talk about literally what happened, the pitching fell apart for them, which it was their strong suit all year in the regular season. Kluber didn't have a great postseason, and that's something that they relied on, was him kind of carrying the rotation throughout the postseason.
They made Bauer start on short rest, too, in Game 4.
Yeah. So just moves that maybe weren't the right move, or they were questionable decisions, and the pitchers just didn't perform the way that they should have. But props to the Yankees for stepping up and shutting that team down because everyone thought that was a runaway team.
Was it more the Yankees beat them or the Indians beat themselves?
Right.
I don't think the Indians beat themselves. I think the Yankees just found something within themselves and just stole 3 games from a team I thought was going to win the World Series, had an incredible regular season. I don't think it was anything the Indians necessarily did wrong, but give the Yankees so much credit. They blow, I think it was like an 8 or 9-3 lead in Game 2, lose that game in Cleveland, go home, have no momentum. Masahiro Tanaka, a starter who struggled all season, everyone in New York was writing him off, goes out, throws 7 shutout innings, wins a 1-0 game. They get to Trevor Bauer in Game 4 and get to Corey Kluber in Game 5. The bullpen did a tremendous job, and I want to give Joe Girardi a credit. There were people in New York calling for his head after Game 2. This man has the control of his clubhouse. He's won before, and he's definitely a great manager, and I think he's a big reason why the Yankees are playing in Houston tonight.
Their pitching is absolutely phenomenal. You talk Tanaka, you talk David Robertson, Tommy Conley, Dellin Betances, Aroldis Chapman. They are the reason why they're here. And their starters have been good too. CC has redeemed himself. Tanaka, who really has not been that good since coming to New York from Japan. Luis Severino struggled in the wildcard game, did pretty decently in Game 4 of the division series. Let's talk about this championship series. Yankees, Astros. Of course, the headlines will be 2 MVP candidates. Altuve, the short one, had a great division series. Judge, the tall one, the one who hits all the bombs, hit a bomb in the wild card game, stunk in the division series, had 3 golden sombreros in 5 games. That's 4 strikeouts in a game. Who do you see winning this series and why?
I have the Astros winning this series. I had Astros-Dodgers World Series from the beginning of the season. But I think that the Astros carry through. I think they're a better team overall. I think that they have more offense, more firepower, more depth on the offensive side, especially when you have guys like Aaron Judge, who the Yankees have relied on, slumping like that. They've had big moments from Gregorius and Gardner, but I think the whole onslaught of the Astros offense, as well as their pitching staff, because they've looked good this postseason too, is going to be too much for the Yankees to overcome.
How about you?
I think I'm going to give Rob Manfred a gift of a Los Angeles-New York World Series. I think the Astros are the better team, but there's something about this Yankees team this year. They have Aaron Judge. They had spurts of being good, spurts of being bad, but this is a franchise that knows how to win the postseason, and I think they're able to come away in this series. I think it might go the distance like the division series did as well, but I do think we'll see a Dodgers-Yankees Fall Classic, and somewhere Rob Manfred is very excited to think about all the money he's going to make.
I'm going to disagree with you. I'm going to say the Astros are going to win. They do have great pitching. All the Yankees have a really good bullpen. I think the Astros have better starters. Verlander, Keuchel, among others. They're doing a good job. I think it's going to be Cubs-Astros World Series. And that's going to do it for it this week, folks. Thank you for joining us here on the Meeting on the Mound. For Devin, Madigan, and Alec Henden, I'm Matt Kling. And if your team's been eliminated from the postseason like this guy's D-backs, just keep swinging for the fences.